Some of you might be wondering how we're going to approach these two particular software, one involving Whiteboard, which is courtesy of Microsoft, and in this case all you have to do is go onto your search bar at the bottom left of your screen of your Windows, and you should be able to type Microsoft, or it should be showing up as you type it for suggested. And once you have that, all you have to do is just click on the Whiteboard software, and this is the icon. Once you hit open, you should be able to have something like this, and this here is going to be different from another software that is courtesy of Google, where in this case all you have to do is go on Google, and once you go to Google you should click on, of course, your Google Drive, and in order for you to particularly save it on a specific folder, all you have to do is, for example, if you have a chemistry folder that I just created, go to this section or go to new, and if you go to new you should see a couple of suggested ways of opening specific Google apps. Like for example, in this case the app that will focus but we're going to copy here is Google Jamboard, and once you click on that, this is the Jamboard and how it looks like. This is really critical because you need to be able to pick a specific folder in order for you to save it in it. If you actually change the name, you should be able to have, let's say for example, chemistry 101. This will be a great way to save it, and once you save it, it should be in this particular folder. If it's not in this particular folder, yes, there we go, this is it right here. Once you click on this, you should be able to access it on the folder. However, in this case Whiteboard, you actually have this particular overall look on all the projects that you've worked on or collaborated with. In here, to create a new whiteboard, all you do is click on this plus that has the blue background with the title New Whiteboard. Click on this and you'll be able to have this opened up right here. Couple of key things that are similar between the Whiteboard courtesy of Microsoft and that of your specific Jamboard, which is from Google, is that yes, you can actually share it from not only you to other groups of people. You can type the email of the person that you're going to share it with, and you can actually change it from, in this case, owner to either edited. So in this case, we're going to pick any name that you want and you should be good to go. For Whiteboard, what you have to do is you're going to click on this icon which shows you for sharing, and you can click share link on, and you can copy the link to any other person that you want to share this board with. Now to collaborate with this, Untitled Whiteboard is a way for you to change the title of your whiteboard to a specific title. So we can call this Chemistry 101, and there we go. If you want to get access to it, all you do is click on home and it is saved right there. So let's focus now on how this actually works. In here we have the top, which is the updated version, couple of manipulatives that you can actually play around with. This involves ruler that is coming soon. This involves laser selection, where if I write something down, you can actually highlight a specific section of what you want and then you can copy and paste it. Let's say for example, I write something right here, and this here is your pens. You write something right here, and let's say you have another drawing right over here, and in this case, instead of you copying everything, you want to copy, let's say, only this color right here. All you have to do is go to laser and you crop all this section that you want, and you'll be able to highlight that. And to copy, all you do is click on this or Control C, and if you want to delete, all you do is hit delete or click on this icon right here. Other things, like for example, like convert to shape, you can use this icon to convert to shape, and this hopefully should give you a shape that you prefer. Otherwise, sometimes it doesn't actually translate really well to the shape that you want, and so that is not the case. In terms of shape, you can actually have this to actually create a perfect shape for you. This looks like a triangle, and so if you want this to look like a proper straight lined triangle, let's see what that gives us. Perfect. a triangle that is created. On the flip side, when we look at, for example, Jamboard, and let's say we have this manipulative for drawing a pen, and we click on any color by seeing other varieties of colors to choose from. This is lacking in terms of diversity of color. That is the thing that is lacking with Jamboard. Like, we have just orange, and once you draw a specific shape, in this case triangle, it doesn't actually have a software that will encourage you to actually give you the specific type of accurate triangle that is required. So that is the one thing that is lacking with Jamboard. If you want to change the color of your specific pen, you can click on the pen again, and you can see a couple of diverse pens that you colors that might be of interest for you. You can have green, light green, dark green, blue, light blue, or your universal rainbow colors. And in here, if you want to create arrows, you can actually use arrows icon, and this is how it looks like. There we go. Another one here is where you have double-headed arrows. You can actually translate that into a double-headed arrow, and that is pretty cool to actually check that out. For a highlight, you can use this, and we can highlight a specific section. We can highlight maybe this section of your text. Let's say, for example, if you want to add text, you can go to this particular section here, the plus sign to create. We have other manipulatives that you can insert right here. Like, for example, we have notes, where you can pick whatever color of note you want, or you can use a note grid, and all those are interesting things to play around with Whiteboard. Now, looking at other things to keep in mind, like, for example, create in terms of text, we can actually add a text as you want. Let's say, for example, chemistry 101. That is a text right there, and let's say this is about the understanding of chemical reactions, you know, all that stuff. This is how you spell reactions. Just ignore my spelling. And once you have this text here, you can manipulate it here, adjust the height or the width. You can actually also click on the specific area that you want and drag it to anywhere that you want, which is pretty cool. Another great advantage of Whiteboard is that you can highly expand to bigger size to bring it forth, or even a wider text. You can click, hold, and drag all the way to whatever area you want, and this is pretty cool to actually to show that diversity in terms of collaboration as you share with other types of peoples that you're going to be interacting with. You can actually add images, in this case here, either through your device, where you can actually have a photo that is of interest to you, or you can actually use bin images, and in here there are suggested images that will be, of course, coming soon. And it's quite interesting to see how this is completely different from when you go on Jamboard and you see other interesting diverse takes on it. Like, for example, in terms of sticky notes, you can actually have this to actually include in here chemistry 101. You can change the color to wherever you want, hit save, and it completely appears. If we change to a different color, you'll be able to click on, let's say, the chemical reactions, and this is a great way for you to add text or add suggestions to any topic that is of interest to the group. Another thing here is concerning adding images. This here shows a couple of ways of adding images, either through your computer, upload, or through your browsing your computer, or URL where you actually know any specific URL link that has access to an image. You can click on that. Camera view, using the camera from our particular webcam. For example, if I allow this, you're going to see, yes, me right here. And this is quite fascinating to see how this can be a great way for you to just use any photo that you want. You can pick a glass here and like, okay, this is a glass that I want to share, and once you click on capture, boom, there we go, we have that right there, and you insert it in to your image, and this is how it looks like, which is pretty cool to explore that. This here involves shapes. Now, this is the one great advantage of this in terms of instead of when you're drawing and it can't actually auto correct the perfect image, you can actually use this shape icon to create a perfect triangle. Voila. And there are other suggested shapes right here that you can play around with. And this is limited. We need more other or more shapes to actually show that particular, diversity of this software. That is what it's lacking. So hopefully more coming soon in this case. In terms of text, you can actually create text as you want. The only limited part of this is that you just watch this. For me to edit this, I can't. Oh, they updated it. That's pretty cool. You have to double click. So let's say chemistry 101. And this is awesome. Once you're done, if you click on it once, if you click on it twice, it will work. If you click on it once, nope, you can't type anything except you double click on it and you'll be able to edit on it. Before, it used to be you have to click on these 3 dots and you'll be able to edit it. But now that is no more. It's quite exhausting to do that. To duplicate, you can do this. To delete, you can click on that. Other means you can send it backwards with reference to the main board or move it forward. And so that is how this actually looks like in terms of this manipulative. Laser is that you're using like laser pointer to show a couple of things that's of interest. Let's say you're like, okay, this triangle, it appears and disappears, and you're saying, oh, looking at this object right here, you are actually directing your audience to a specific topic that you are focusing on in detail. You can actually draw a smiley face if you're that fast, but it disappears right away. Otherwise, this is pretty cool to actually see. This here is just arrows, but you can also pick whatever shape that you want, pick whatever object that you want, and you can manipulate it as you want. These are the suggested links that actually is associated with the 3 dots. To keep in mind, to zoom in and zoom out, you use this particular icon, and to set as background, you can actually see a couple of suggested backgrounds for you. For mathematical people that are drawing graphs, this will be pretty cool to actually play around with, and all this involves really cool things that can be a great add-ons in here to your Jamboard. For display or presenting to a Google Meet, this is pretty cool to actually play around with in terms of sharing this particular link to a Google Meet and presenting whatever information that you have on your Jamboard to an audience. Now, moving away from Jamboard back to this particular software, let's look at the other diverse things that you can play around with. We have templates. In here we have brainstorm, and seeing all this involves a couple of interesting things that can be of great help in terms of organizing various topics and how people can actually add on to that particular topic. Another one here that will be pretty interesting is problem solving. How does this look like? It's really a cool way to actually show, like for example, you have graph method here where you have a couple of quadrants, and depending on the quadrant, you can actually show your solutions or problems. Many more in here are really interesting, and also looking at strategies. We have other diverse way of putting strategies in terms of different groups, things that relate to each other, and a couple of analyses that actually are undergone or expressed right here. And in here, looking at shapes, we actually have a couple of shapes here, quite limited in terms of the types of shapes that are out here. I'll expect more types of shapes to be introduced into the software. But if you want to manipulate the shapes, let's say for example you have this particular shape right here, you can actually do some interesting things like stretch it however you want. And also when you look at this icon on the mouse, which shows you the circle arrow, it means that there is a rotation that you have to perform right here. And it's pretty cool to see how this is enhanced in this particular part of this software. This here is shape boundary color pick to whatever color you want in terms of the boundary, and you see that it's now orange at the boundary region. This icon here represents filling in the color with a particular color of choice, and in here we change everything now to orange, and whatever choice of color that you're interested in, that is pretty cool to actually see that represented right over here. And if you want to delete, of course, that is a way to delete. This here is to edit in terms of text. This icon is really accessible for people with visual disability because once, for example, you type what this particular image is, in this case, when you look closely, you know that this is a parallelogram. They can actually have access to this by hovering around that particular image of your choice. And once you hit save, this can be established right over here. Bring to the front, send to the back, or lock at that particular location. And that is how this looks like in terms of the fundamental things to be aware of in terms of the whiteboard software and how that is different, of course, from our Jamboard software, which is what we have right here. I hope you found this really informative and all the information you need in order for you to be successful here. More information about the individual softwares will be coming up soon. I hope you found this really informative. Please hit a comment down below. Let me hear your thoughts about this, but that way I can talk to you all soon. Stay smart as always and believe in yourselves.